Our topic is regular testing necessary to improve academic performance? I'm Caitlin with the for side of academic performance with testing, and this is my partner Tammy, and she is against. Now we will answer some questions to back up our positions.
What is standardized testing? How are they used? List at least 2 types of standardized tests and explain what they are. What is regular testing? And explain the differences between the two. Standardized testing refers to testing designed for a specific goal and purpose, used to measure and compare collective groups of students. Standardized tests are constructed by test designers, not in-class teachers. They are designed and developed, then put through a process of validity and reliability to ensure minimizing error and maximizing comparative outcome. Standardized tests have a control group which becomes the target all other groups are measured against. While we are most familiar with national standardized testing that measures academic achievement in students in U.S. schools, other standardized tests focusing on young children are the Battelle Developmental Inventory Scale, which is a comprehensive developmental assessment test that measures a student's strengths and weaknesses and compares to national norms, and also the IDEA Proficiency Test, which identifies students' language proficiency for English language learners. Even though standardized testing such as these have been developed using knowledgeable designers and researchers and put through a rigorous process to ensure validity and reliability, these tests in themselves do not produce improvement in student academic performance. By their very design, they can only measure a student's knowledge, development, achievement, language proficiency, or whatever the testing purpose is on the day it is administered. Regular testing takes place in the classroom, specific to curriculum and attending students. Regular tests can be pre-designed or designed by the teacher. Regular testing is to identify student knowledge and proficiency before instruction, during instruction, and following instruction. Whether it is standardized testing or regular testing, neither one of these testing methods will improve student academic performance by themselves. On the contrary, there are factors involved with testing that actually limit improving academic performance. I'd like to address just 3 of these now. The most notable factor limiting student improvement is when individual test results are not used to guide teachers' instruction. According to Paul Barton from Staying on Course in Educational Reform, published by Educational Testing Service in 2002, there are 3 factors why standardized testing does not lead to academic improvement. He says, first, students take them at the end of the school year when most instructional activities are near completion. Second, teachers don't receive the results until 2 or 3 months later, by which time their students have usually moved on to other teachers. And third, the results that teachers receive usually lack the level of detail needed to target specific improvements. Regarding regular testing, it's the same. If teachers do not use the results in an immediate sense to inform instruction so that student improvement can be achieved, then testing has no student academic value. Some teachers may even use testing to penalize students by blaming them for lack of academic performance rather than adjusting their instruction to improve the student's comprehension. The next factor limiting student improvement is the level of stress the test method places on the student. Stress during testing can be caused by poor environmental factors such as lighting and climate, high-stakes pressure presented to students prior to taking the test, and stress caused by the testing method, as when a computer is used by students lacking academic computer skills. These factors decrease the authenticity of test results, causing errors in additional instructional adjustments to be made. The third factor interfering with increased academic performance in both types of testing is the time testing takes away from comprehensive instructional content. Not only the time to conduct the tests, but in our current school structure, there is much time, way too much time, devoted to practicing for the tests and not expanding on instructional content.
Now I will read the for side of instructional assessment. Standardized tests are assessments that are scored in a standardized way. The test scores are compared to other students' scores. Usually these tests are large-scale and administered with a large population of students. These tests are primarily all the same and usually multiple choice tests given to all of one certain grade level at a school. They are used to assess the students' and teachers' performance. These tests can be given in a variety of ways but are typically given with a pencil and paper. although recently more have been completed on a computer. They consist of multiple choice and true and false responses, but some tests might have long response, essay questions, or a variety of questions. These tests are a high source of debate in the United States. There are many mixed reviews on the value of standardized testing in our school system. These tests are objective and fair since they are scored using a computer base. Regular testing includes any form of assessment done in the classroom. These types of assessment are typically teacher-made and used to assess where the students are at in the classroom. These can include testing that show the teacher where the students are right when they enter the class, which is helpful when trying to create instruction for the content. Seeing what the student's prior knowledge consists of can help a teacher know where to form his or her instruction for each individual student. Then the teacher needs to know where the students are at during the instruction. The teacher has to have some way to measure if what they are teaching is getting across to their students. These types of assessments can be done in many different ways. Regular testing can include a game, something on the smartboard, acting something out, reader's theater, a regular written test, or some kind of written paper. These types of assessment can be especially helpful for students who have test anxiety. The teacher can create a less stressful form of test for these students. I think that assessments in the classroom are necessary. Without them, it would be almost impossible for the teacher to know where each student falls with knowledge of content. The students also benefit from this testing because they need some way to be motivated to learn the content. The final assessment at the end of the year shows the teacher if they need to do anything different for the next year. Also, it shows the next teacher where to begin instruction. The regular testing at the end of the year shows them what they've already learned and what they need to learn. The differences between these two types of testing include many different variables. Standardized testing is much more formal. It is given to the teachers and students from the state. It could include any number of information, and it can be very stressful for students who have test anxiety. It is also a pencil-paper form of testing and is scored by a computer. These things are all almost the opposite of what regular testing is. Regular testing is helpful for both the teacher and the students. It can be given in many different forms to help students who do not test easily. Also, regular testing helps the teacher to see where the students are when they enter, in the middle, and after they leave the classroom. This can be helpful for students to know what they need to work on. With the standardized testing, the students don't know what they need to work on, only know the score they got. One type of standardized assessment in Florida is the Florida Standards Assessment, formerly known as the FCAT. One type of regular testing is diagnostic assessment. Both types of testing are necessary in the classroom. I think that it is important as a state to look at how the students are progressing on a larger scale. This can be beneficial for them to see where to form the information for the tests in the future. This can be beneficial for them also to see where to I also feel that the classroom would be harder to manage without the use of regular testing. Without both of these forms of assessment, it would make a huge difference on the education system. I do not think the difference would be a good one. I feel that they are a crucial part of education. For question 2, does socioeconomic standards impact student success both on standardized testing as well as regular testing? I think that yes, socioeconomic standards impact both standardized testing and regular testing. If a student comes into the school system from a household that hasn't worked with him or her on any educational material, they will be behind before they even start. As a teacher, it is easier with regular testing to modify the material for a student who is falling significantly behind in the material rather than a standardized test. This material cannot be changed. The student will need to work twice as hard as the other students who are receiving some kind of help at home. Also, there is a lack of sleep, maybe from not having a bed to take into consideration. Also, a lot of students could be homeless. This could also affect their success on both types of testing as well. These are all factors to consider when it comes to testing. Although they are not all necessarily bad, these students also receive benefits from the system to help them along. They realize that the students may not be getting the needed help from home, and they provide more time for some lower SES students. Also, the students can receive funding based on their test scores. There are many opportunities for the students to catch up during the school year as well. There are clubs at different schools that offer tutoring right in the home. In my school, there is an apartment complex close to the school that houses a lot of lower socioeconomic status students, and the teachers get together once a week and hold a tutoring session in the common area of the apartment complex. This is a great opportunity for the students to get the extra help that they need. I know that with standardized testing, the SES is not taken into accountability, although with the regular testing, the teachers are making the assessments and have a lot more flexibility. Most of the results I found were significantly lower scores for SES students on both types of assessment. But this is not a bad thing. This could be extremely good for the improvement of the student's success. This way they can see how they are progressing, and also the teacher can see the progress and work with them to improve it. Some students are more motivated to do better once they do get a lower score on an assessment. I think that with the SES students, this could really be beneficial to their progress. For the higher socioeconomic students, they have a huge advantage to the assessments. They have scored higher on the assessments and received the necessary help at home it takes to succeed. The student success is much higher for these students regarding assessment. So for both low and high socioeconomic status does impact student success. Either way, the students could have a good chance of success whether they are low or high status. If the students fall into the higher socioeconomic status, they are likely to have great success in the assessment category. Although I wish the gap were smaller, I think it is great that assessment does show so much potential for all the students. I think that it is a great learning tool. Assessment shows not only the state and the teachers, but also the students their progress. They feel proud or they feel like they want to do better. Either way, it is improving the success of the student's learning journey.
Socioeconomic standards, or SES, definitely has an impact on student outcomes on both standardized testing and regular testing. For affluent students who have access to academic structured schools where testing is elevated as a measure of high-level achievement, these students may excel at identifying facts on a test and still not gain a deeper comprehension of content and higher reasoning and problem-solving skills, which have a greater result in improving academic performance across content areas. As stated on the website procon.com, excessive testing may teach children to be good test takers, but does not prepare them for productive, active lives. For students in lower SES circumstances, it is even bleaker. Standardized testing, designed to measure the norm, often falls short in student comprehension of the test when the student comes from a background limited in placing content in context. Additionally, students in a lower SES are managing many other factors at the time of testing, such as hunger, conflicts at home, low self-esteem, and a fear and/or expectation of failing in the testing. Regular testing in classrooms can also halt improved academic performance when schools located in low SES demographic areas experience limited funding and employ teachers of poor quality. Linda Darling-Hammond in The Flat World in Education points out that these schools use a narrow curriculum driven by tests of low quality. In classrooms such as this, low SES students may succeed on the test, but the test has not made any significant contributions to improving their academic performance. Our final question today will be, if assessment is to improve performance, not just check it, the techniques of measurement must be accompanied by quality feedback provided to learners. Do you agree or disagree with this statement, and explain your thinking? Quality feedback is absolutely at the heart of effective instruction, leading to improved student academic performance. Quality feedback achieves what regular testing and assessment measures alone cannot. That being said, this component of instruction is too often missing in the classroom, which then limits the students' opportunities to improve their academic performance. Learning is by nature a process which relies heavily on instructional feedback and student reflection and correction. This then places equal value and importance on teacher feedback as it does teacher instruction and assessment. Quality feedback from teachers drawn from a meaningful evaluation of the assessment or test is the ultimate goal of testing. But research shows that teacher trainings and degrees in education do not adequately prepare teachers in the area of quality feedback. Thomas R. Guskey, in an article in Educational Leadership from February 2003, provides this insight into assessment in the hands of teachers. He states, "Few teachers receive much formal training in assessment or design and analysis. Lacking specific training, teachers rely heavily on the assessments offered by the publisher of their textbooks or instructional materials. When no suitable assessments are available, teachers construct their own in a haphazard fashion with questions and essay prompts similar to the ones that their teachers used. They treat assessments as evaluation devices to administer when instructional activities are completed and to use primarily for only assigning students grades. One additional disadvantage to students when teachers use tests or assessments designed by textbooks or other outside sources is that these do not allow for differentiation as needed by individual students, especially those at risk or ELLs. When teachers see their duty to students exclusively to deliver instruction and testing and assessment for grading alone, then quality feedback will not be present. Recently, this exact practice came to light in West Palm Beach, Florida, when an honors math class was taught by a series of substitute teachers. According to an article in the Palm Beach Post, the teachers stated that they were only there to deliver content and hand out tests. Improving student academic performance was not their goal. As one student said, "We're just given busy work and grades for our busy work." These students actually took their case to the school board saying, "Time is not something you can get back. We've already lost so much time. We're so ill-prepared, and we are looking to you for help." This is what every student knows in their heart, that they are looking to teachers for help, for meaningful feedback so they can continue constructing knowledge and improving their academic performance. Students want to learn. They want to spend their time in the classroom effectively learning. For all of these reasons, it is clear to see that testing and assessment alone do not improve student academic performance.
I do agree with the statement about feedback and the assessment. In order for the students to improve, they need to know what and where they need to improve. Assessment is the perfect way to show them this. Students can see the questions they got wrong or the answers they have given to their teacher about a certain subject and then go back and fix their work. I think the best way to use a written assessment is to give feedback on the assessment and have the students go back through and fix their incorrect answers. This is something that we never got to do when I was in school. How were we supposed to know when we got something wrong? Now I see it a lot more in the classroom. Feedback for the students' behavior is a lot more prevalent. I like the way that assessment can be used in the classroom. I think that everyone involved benefits from it. There are many different forms of assessment that allow for feedback. There is also the form of assessment that I find to be the most beneficial, where the students actually grade themselves. I think this is a great learning tool for the classroom. They can determine whether they did a good job or they need more work. This could be used for a project or also a concept. The students can fill out a chart on a piece of paper that says, "I understand, I can teach this to a friend, I need to do more research," or "I need help, I don't understand." The project-based self-assessment includes a chart that says, "I did a great job, there's more I could add," or "That's not my best work." I think we as humans are our hardest critics. I believe that students, even the young ones, know when they have completed their best work or if they actually understand a concept. I also think as a teacher we should be giving feedback on everything, including assessments. These are the most important learning tools we have in the classroom. And we want the student to know why they got something wrong. It is important to follow certain steps also when providing your feedback to the students. I think it is good to be specific in your feedback. This includes what you want to see and specifically what part of the answer made it wrong. Don't wait too long to grade and give feedback on assessments. The information will still be fresh in the student's mind and they can correct what they did not get right. It is also important to be careful about the wording of feedback. As a teacher, you do not want to make the students feel threatened or bad about themselves in any way. The entire journey should be a learning experience. Overall, I think assessment is important. I also think it is extremely important to follow up your assessment with feedback for your students' success.
Thank you.